We're excited about the fact that Velocity has come to the market and that it's here. Can you shed maybe a little bit of light on Velocity? Um, maybe I Why did we start even doing some research on horses? Was there anything significant there? And then maybe a little bit of your guys' perspective on that. Tim, I know you've got a lot going on there in the Velocity world as well. Is there anything there you guys can elaborate on or talk about for large animals in the equine line?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we published a study on it, and so I mean that's something we're really proud of. And Tim and I were co-authors on that. And it's essentially the same thing we did with the humans. We did thoroughbred racehorses, the best of the best. We did muscle biopsies after applying the gel with no prior use, a double-blind, placebo-controlled. And what we saw there was anywhere from 100 to 300% increase, as I mentioned earlier in the call, after one application. And so again, we were really blown away by that. One of the main reasons why is a lot of other animals rely on carnosine even more so than humans, and it's more difficult to increase the levels in their skeletal muscle. Thoroughbred racehorses are a perfect example of that. And so for us to be able to achieve those type of results there is actually more impressive than us doing it in humans. And so I personally feel like that is probably some of the strongest evidence we have because it is so much more difficult than what you would face even in humans, which is a pretty insurmountable challenge by itself. The other thing I would say is that there's two parts to what it looks like when it's actually utilized with these animals. The first part is the performance. And those that are unfamiliar, the Velocity product has been used by the best trainers like Bob and those guys in those stables and has won multiple Kentucky Derbies. And the two Kentucky Derby winners were the second and the third longest shots in Kentucky Derby history to win. And in 2021, which was I think the second longest shot in Kentucky Derby history to win, Lactigo Velocity um, um, users placed one, two, three, four, and five in the Kentucky Derby. And then 2 years later, the Kentucky Derby was won again by a Velocity horse. So the performance is similar to what you see in the elite athletes. It definitely elevates them to another level. I think what I feel the best about, and I think what is even more important is the amount of inflammation those animals are subjected to just from what we would call training or practice to get ready for races is substantial. It's almost like a car crash happened to their body. And the mitigation of that inflammation that was visible on the MRI and some of the imaging that was done during the course of this research study is incredible. And it surpasses anything that I had seen, even from what we're doing elsewhere within humans. And so, those horses don't have a very good quality of life. And so for me, I feel good about the fact that any animal that's going to be exposed to that gel is going to have a significantly improved quality of life and reduction of the stressors that come with being a high performing athlete, animal that's an athlete. And I would expect that to extend to all kinds of different, athletes that perform like, there's distance riding, there's all the jumps, there's all kinds of different ways that horses are utilized. So it's not just that, not just the sprint stuff. So, and you take that and you cascade that down to the other animals and the potential there for the benefits of what carnosine can do within the body are the same. You just have this ability to help them have way less stress in all the different tissue spaces and joint capsules and all the things that animals are affected much differently by gravity than we are being bipedal, and people don't even think about that stuff. And so yeah, I think it's a fantastic product, and um I would argue that it is the only thing that exists in that space that is doing what this is doing. And it's a very tightly regulated space, and so for it to be again a clean, safe, natural product that can be used there, is unmatched. Sharpie, what do you got? Because I know this is kind of a little bit your world.
Yeah, well, I grew up in Kentucky, and my dad had racehorses. My mom had just a riding horse that all of my nieces and nephews would ride. So anyway, yeah, for sure, horses are they were never my thing personally, but I was always around the culture. Uh, in terms of the product and product development, because that's some of what you were getting at, Trent. As always, we can't ever like really share exactly what we're working on, but I will tell you that one of the things that we are working on with Velocity, in as generic a way as I can say it, is uh, enabling application to horses to be simplified. So I can't tell you more than that. That's one of the things that we're looking at doing, is making it easier to apply. Um, and we also, to that effect, that is one of the things that we're doing testing on to make sure that any changes we make actually are still efficacious, because we don't just throw a wrench in because, hey, this sounds like it would be cool. If we make a change, it's because it made sense to make that change, not just from we had an idea, but we execute and we verify. So the Velocity product is something that is actively researched behind the scenes. You just don't really hear about it because we don't talk about those things. But it is in the mix along with lots of other things that we're doing. And just like F1 racing, all the advancements they make in those ultimately find their way into the cars that you and I drive. Anything that we do on any aspect, we're always looking to see where does it filter over. So if we discover something amazing on the velocity side, then we look to see, hey, can this filter over? But vice versa, anything that we discover on the human side, if we're looking at um, different concepts of formulations, we look to see where can we apply it like all together, and then we'll do a bulk upgrade if we find something that makes sense that it would improve, you know, 4 of the 6 products that we're looking at. We'll immediately just go ahead and implement that because we'll already have the testing. We already know. So the larger this company gets and the more products we have, when we make improvements, it's going to be remarkable because the improvements will just sweep over, a huge swath of what we have available, and there will be a lot available. Chad had mentioned, we have we think 5 year, we think 10 year, and over the next couple of years, we'll have things. We're being conservative in terms of what we will have in the medium future. That's as specific as I can get because people will expect to drop next week if I'm more specific than that. But I, if if we didn't have some amazing things to offer to you in 2026, I would be shocked, like absolutely shocked. So keep your eyes peeled. And some of what we offer may even almost be transparent because some of it could just be Lactigo just magically gets better, which is hard to believe that, there's room for improvement. But we're always looking for that, you know, extra few percent or 10, 20%, whatever we can get, we'll take it.